Welcome back, all you awakened savages, and today we're going to be talking about the overlooked key to building true fulfillment and legacy, and that's gratitude. Because gratitude is a fuel, right? We've been told that gratitude is soft, right? For the spiritual, the weak, the easygoing, but that's bullshit. Gratitude is a weapon, right? It's the fuel high-performing warriors, athletes, and leaders use to win. Now, not just in their careers, but in their bodies, their minds, their families, and to build that legacy. So if you want more power, you want more fulfillment, you want to build something that truly lasts, start with gratitude. I'm not talking about the fluffy, shitty quotes you see on Instagram. I'm talking about real, grounded gratitude, right? The kind that creates resilience, discipline, and opportunity, right? The kind that turns adversity into fuel, pain into power, right? This isn't about pretending everything's all rosy and fine or ignoring the pain. It's about using gratitude as a tool, right? To rewire your brain, to rebuild your relationships, and to turn every fucking setback into an advantage, right? If you think gratitude is just about saying thank you, right, you've missed the secret that the world's greatest men and warriors have used for centuries. Okay, because most men think they're hungry for success, but really they're starving for satisfaction. Right? We are told to keep pushing, keep grinding, keep hustling, chasing the next win. But when was the last time you stopped to actually feel the win that you'd already earned? Right? Without gratitude, everything just becomes a blur. Right? You crush a goal. 5 minutes later, you're focused on the next problem or the next goal. No celebration, no reflection, no fulfillment. You tell yourself, I'll be grateful when the money comes, the body's right? I finally get the house, the job, whatever it is. But every time you level up, the finish line moves. This never enough mindset is poison, right? It's why men burn out, get resentful, and sabotage their own success. It's why marriages fail, break down, kids pull away, and good men feel isolated even when they're on the top. Without gratitude, you're living in a permanent deficit, always hunting, never harvesting. Right? Your body stays locked in stress. Your mind obsesses about what's missing. Your spirit dries up. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good bonus. It's the key to breaking cycles of not enough and the foundation for building a life that you actually fucking want to live and you enjoy living it. Right? Let's, dive into how the great warriors, the athletes, the high performers, they used it as fuel. Right? The ancients didn't practice gratitude because it was trendy. Right? They didn't have TikTok or Instagram or fancy quotes. No, they did it because it was survival. Right? Stoic warriors like Marcus Aurelius, he started every single morning naming what they already had. His breath, his family, his brothers, his mission. Right? Samurais, they gave thanks before and after every single battle. Right? Not out of superstition, but to anchor themselves in the present. Right? To fight from fullness, not from lack. Right? The indigenous cultures, the Spartan kings, the Buddhist monks, all had gratitude rituals before meals, at sunrise, and after hardship. Why? Because they knew that gratitude was essential. It sharpens focus, it keeps you humble when you win, and keeps you grounded when you lose. Right? The ancient used gratitude for survival and strength. In modern science, it shows us exactly why it works. Okay? When you focus on what's good, right? Even for 60 seconds, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Right? These are the chemicals that drive motivation, mood, focus, and long-term memory. Right? Your stress hormone, cortisol, that drops. Now, this isn't just mental. Your body literally relaxes. Blood pressure lowers. Immune function goes up. You heal faster. Right? Gratitude lights up the prefrontal cortex. Right? So that's a part of your brain responsible for self-control. Right? Creative problem solving and also long-term planning. Right? It breaks that cycle of anxiety, overthinking, or emotional numbness. The more you practice, the stronger these neural pathways become. So you're training your mind to scan for possibilities and not just danger. This is why gratitude isn't just about positive thinking. It's the training ground for high performers, athletes, Navy SEALs, high level CEOs. They use gratitude journaling as part of their performance routines. This is, and not for fun, but because it makes them more resilient, more creative, harder to break. Right? And there's study after study that shows, see, men who have a gratitude practice, they sleep better, recover faster from setbacks, from injuries, have stronger relationships, and outperform, their peers under pressure. Right? This is more than theory. Right? It's biology, it's psychology, and guess what? It's fucking free and it's yours to use right now. Right? So it's time to turn gratitude into a force multiplier. And thing is, right, most men never realize that gratitude is the ultimate form of masculine spiritual power, right? It's not passive. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending that everything's fine and dandy, right? It's about presence. It's about choosing to see, to feel, and to name what's good, even when the shit hits the fan and life is hard, right? The old masters, they knew that what you thank, you strengthen. What you bless, you magnetize. So gratitude isn't just brain chemistry, it's a spiritual technology. Right? The ancient called it the master key for a reason. Okay? In universal law, it says what you focus on, you amplify. What you appreciate, appreciates. Right? The law of resonance says you attract what you embody. Right? Then the law of cause and effect says every emotion you express ripples out, creating consequences seen and unseen. Gratitude is active, right? It tunes your entire nervous system to receive, not just to survive. You become a magnet for opportunity because you're already tuned to see the opportunities coming. You broadcast abundance even when you're low on resources, right? You rewire your destiny, not by force, but by alignment. Right? This isn't magic, it's mechanics. Right? You shape your reality by the frequency you hold. You shape your reality by the frequency you hold. Your frequency is what you frequently see. Okay? So when you're grateful, you're aligned with abundance and not scarcity. You turn every experience, good or bad, into fuel for growth, wisdom, strength. Okay, and that's the alchemist code, right? Real alchemy isn't about turning lead into gold. It's about turning every setback, every challenge, every ordinary day into fuel for greatness. Gratitude is the transmutation key, right? You take adversity, loss, or failure, and through gratitude, you turn that into wisdom, humility, strength. You become the man who can walk through the fucking shitstorm and the fire and still come out better. Right? Spiritually, gratitude upgrades your identity. You stop acting like a victim of circumstances and you start acting like the creator of your reality. Every time you choose gratitude, especially when it's the hardest, you're telling the universe, I'm ready for more. I can handle more, right? I'm already enough. That's real alchemy, right? Taking what you have, even the pain, and transforming it into gold. Right? And that's what the Stoics called amor fati, loving your fate. Right? Mystics, samurais, and warrior poets, they all knew that when you give thanks in the middle of a fight, you unlock new power. Gratitude is not surrender, right? It's an act of creation. It's how you move from the victim to the creator, right? From survival to leadership. Every time you give thanks, you upgrade your spirit and set the stage for bigger breakthroughs. This is why the greatest men across every age and culture anchor their lives in gratitude. This is why spiritual warriors, mystic, and even modern peak performance coaches, they make gratitude a discipline because it's the fastest way to shift your energy, attract what you need, and build the life that's aligned with your highest values. Right? When you practice gratitude with intent, you invoke the law, right? You become the alchemist of your own fate. Okay, and let's look at it how it impacts every area of your life, right? Because gratitude isn't just a mindset, it's a system upgrade for every part of your life. If you look at the body, right? Grateful men recover faster. Your body relaxes, inflammation drops, sleep gets deeper, and even your pain threshold rises. So when you focus on gratitude, right, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, right, the rest and recover mode. Right, your stress hormones drop, testosterone stabilizes, muscles repair faster. Right, there's plenty of studies that show that men who keep a gratitude journal, they sleep deeper, bounce back faster from injury, and have lower blood pressure. Right, if you look at the pro athletes, they have a pre-game gratitude ritual, right? Naming what's working in their body, right? What they're thankful for, even before they step onto the field, right? There's so many athletes that if you look into it, have discussed this openly. And then we look at the mind, right? Gratitude kills negative self-talk, right? It breaks the loop of criticism and regret. When you focus on what's working, even when the fucking everything's going wrong, you unlock creative solutions that you could never see, right? Your motivation goes up. You start seeing possibilities and not just problems, right? I've discussed this so many times. Your thoughts shape your focus, right? Gratitude trains your mind to scan for what's working and not what's broken, right? This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means building the mental muscle to see the solutions, even when you're deep in the shit. Right, and neuroplasticity research shows that repeated gratitude literally grows new connections in your brain, right, making optimism and motivation your default state. So men who use gratitude to start their day, they report higher productivity, less anxiety, and stronger follow through on their goals. Right, and then we look at relationships. Appreciation is magnetic, right? See a man who gives thanks out loud, right? Builds trust, intimacy, and loyalty with his partner, his children, his brothers, right? It's the antidote to resentment and distance, right? Gratitude, when you practice that daily, this can heal years of disconnect, right? It rebuilds connection, respect, and even passion. Right, see, withholding appreciation, right, is one of the main killers of marriage and of brotherhood. Right, see, when you're expressing gratitude out loud, that dissolves tension, builds trust, and reignites passion. Okay, because gratitude, it often softens pride and makes it easier to own your own mistakes, turning arguments into opportunities for connection and growth, and not just conflict. Right? Men who make it a point to thank their wives, their children, their friends daily, they report better intimacy, fewer arguments, and more respect at home and in their circles. Right? And then we move on to, wealth, finances, money. Right? If you look at the most magnetic leaders, right? Men people want to follow, they are genuinely grateful. Right? They attract allies, opportunities, and resources. Gratitude tunes you to abundance and not to scarcity. Right? You become a man people trust to share their best ideas, to collaborate with, to reward. Right? Scarcity thinking keeps men hustling but never satisfied. And gratitude makes that shift into abundance. Right? Leaders who show gratitude, they attract loyalty. Right? And also top talent. People want to work with these people. They want to build with them, right? They want to connect with men who see and appreciate their efforts, right? Even in financial setbacks, gratitude helps you spot new opportunities, resources, right? Maybe that you would have missed when you were stuck in lack. Right? Investors, entrepreneurs, they will often, use thank gratitude for failure as because that's the reason that they stayed in the game long enough to win. Whatever area you want to change, right? Gratitude is the foundation that lets you build something bigger, better, brick by brick, right? It's the force that turns pain into power, connection to loyalty, and hustle to legacy, right? And this is something that you don't do it once, it's a daily practice, right? And let's walk through a daily practice you can carry out, right? Now, the first one is not something that you have to do every day, right? The first one is a kind of one-time event. I've done it a couple of times, but you can do it once, right? I want you to thank the man who got you here, right? So what you do is you look back at your life, right? And you really see yourself at every stage. Now visualize your past self just sitting there right in front of you. Have a conversation with him. Thank him, right? The man who survived, who hustled, who failed and got back up, who didn't quit even when shit got really dark. And say it out loud. Thank you for getting me here. I see the battles that you fought. I honour the strength and the scars. Right? Why does this work? Because you stop shaming yourself for not being further ahead. You anchor in self-respect. You build a foundation of acceptance because you cannot grow from a place of self-attack. Right? And this practice changed my life. I used to be so ashamed of the man I was and all the mistakes I made. But see, when my mentor walked me through this practice, everything shifted. Right? I look back at the man who had made it through the gang fights, the prisons, the bankruptcy, the paralysis, the addiction, the failure after failure, the one who survived things that nobody else saw. And instead of hating myself for my mistakes, I thanked myself for having the guts and the courage to stand up and keep moving forward. I sat with that younger version of myself in that visualization, and for the first time, I realised how much pain I'd carried for all those years, and also how much strength it took for me to continue to get back up and move forward. I was literally in tears because nobody knows your struggle like you do. And that moment finally helped me forgive myself. I saw that I was never a bad man, just a man doing the best he could with what he knew at any given time. See, gratitude for your own journey is the start of every single transformation. Okay, and this is step number 2, right? Morning one review. Right, before you start your day, write down or say 3 things you're grateful for, right? Including one about your body, your mind, and your family or your relationships, right? This sets your focus on abundance and possibility and not lack. Right? It shifts your brain chemistry, right? Dopamine and serotonin kick in, giving you that mental edge to start your day. Right? So, for example, you wake up, give a wee stretch, thank your body for the rest, thank your mind for yesterday's breakthrough, and thank your partner for making you coffee. When you do that, your day starts lighter and you're quicker to notice opportunities. Right? Step number 3. This is just an end of day reflection. Right? Before bed, reflect on your day. What went right? What tested me? What am I grateful for now that the day is done? Just jot down 3 things in a notebook or on your phone. Right, you're training your mind to seek lessons and growth, even in struggle. You end the day with closure and calm, not regret and anxiety. Right, for example, you know, you had a tough call at work, right? That could become a point of gratitude for revealing who your real allies or business colleagues are. So you go to bed at peace, not replaying old arguments. Right, step number 4, direct appreciation. This is something I cannot express highly enough. Choose one or sometimes 2 people every day, right? Could be your children, your partner, your friend, your colleague. Just send a quick text message or even a video message or a voice note, right? Or call them or tell them face to face, right? Just say what you appreciate about them. Use the words like love, honor, respect, appreciate. Right, gratitude builds connection and respect. It cuts through resentment, misunderstanding, and emotional distance. Right, it's simple. For example, text your brother. Listen, bro, I love you. I appreciate how you always make me laugh, even when I'm having a shit day. Quick, simple, easy. But that will build that relationship. It will feel lighter and it'll feel stronger. Okay, step number 5, turning complaints into challenges. Right, see, whenever you catch yourself complaining, right, stop, pause, ask, what is this struggle teaching me? What can I be grateful for in this mess? Right? Because when you do that, you reframe problems as training. Right? Adversity becomes fuel, not friction. I'll give you an example of what happened to me the other day. The other day I'm driving in traffic, I got cut off, right? The guy kind of cut me off. My initial instinct was rage, right? I was fucking angry. So I was speeding up right up the cars, up to the car's like back fucking bumper basically, right? But I quickly caught myself, right? And then in the middle of that kind of rage, instead of taking that rage further, I just said thank you, right? I stopped. I said thank you for showing me I still have work to do on my anger, right? I'm grateful for this test and patience. And I promise you immediately, my mood changed, right? I went to a much lighter happiness because before I couldn't hear the music because I was caught in the rage. But as soon as I'd done that, I could hear the music and I got into the beat. I was bopping my head, just bopping along, right? And that is a real life example that happened a few days ago, right? My stress dropped and then I was able to refocus, okay? And the last step, just ritualize it, right? Anchor your gratitude to habits you've already have after workouts, before your first coffee, at dinner with your family. Consistency makes it automatic. What you repeat, you become, right? So, for example, every Sunday dinner, go around the table and everyone shares one thing that they're grateful for that week, right? Your home culture shifts, less conflict, more connection. After your workout, thank your body for getting you through another great session. Okay, that builds that relationship with self. Right? The bottom line, gratitude is a discipline, not an accident. You build it through action, through daily, deliberate action, and especially when shit's hard. Right? Start with one step. Stick to it for a week. Watch how fast your energy, your mindset, and your reality begin to shift. Right? Gratitude really has played a monumental role in my personal development, my growth spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I'll go through a moment which was massive for me, right? And this really shaped my whole life. Well, from the age of like 30 onwards, right? And I carry this every single day. And I've spoke about this before. My best friend Mark died, right? And it shattered me. He was 30 years old and I was 31, I think I was. Right? We've been through it all together. Arrests, gang fights, addiction, recovery, relapse, brotherhood, right? Mark was more like a brother to me than a friend. So when he died, something in me broke, right? I couldn't deal with it. Even talking about it now, I feel, emotional. I couldn't even like walk through the town where we lived without feeling the weight of it, the memories, the guilt, the loss. It was just too much. I couldn't deal with it, right? So I left, right? Because when Mark died, I bumped into a guy that Mark and I worked for the same company at one point, and I bumped into this guy who used to work for Mark and the company. Now, I didn't really know him. I know him now. He's one of my close friends now. But I told him the news that Mark had died, right? And he was upset. We exchanged numbers and we kind of kept in touch. But it was literally a week or two after we'd had that initial conversation, he messaged me and he'd just become the manager of a caravan sales park and he was building a sales team and needed a good salesman. And I had a good history. So he said, do you want to come and work with me? And I didn't really know if, the job was right. So I said, it was away. It was 2 hours from where we lived. I said, you know what? I need to get away from here. So I did, right? And it wasn't just in a job. I know it was me trying to escape. But this is a twist, right? It was there, far from everything and everybody I knew, still carrying that grief of losing Mark, that I met the woman who would become my wife, right? The love of my life. And now we have, two of the most amazing, beautiful children I could ever thank, God for, right? And there's not a single day that I don't think of Mark when I look at them. Because see, if he hadn't died, I would never have my family, right? And if I never left, I would never have the life that I have. And it's one of those paradoxes that your heart can barely hold. Grief and gratitude side by side. But it goes deeper than that because I honestly believe my wife, one of her roles on this earth was to save me, right? Because there was so many moments, really dark ones, where I was sure that I would not make it out, right? But she never ever gave up on me, even when I was broken, right? Even when I was lost, even when I gave her every single reason to walk away, and most people would have walked away, but she never. She stayed. She stood by me through prison, through rehab visits, through relapses, through everything, the chaos, the shame, the wreckage that I had created. She held the line and kept the family together. And when I had no strength to hold myself. And I look at her now and I think, God sent me my own personal angel. That's what she is, right? And I'll spend the rest of my life protecting her, honouring her, loving her, and becoming the man that she always believed I could be, even before I did. So I made a vow. I wasn't going to let Mark's death mean nothing. I wasn't going to waste the love that I'd been given. I wasn't going to let the angel beside me carry the weight alone. I was going to rise. I was going to build myself, right? I was going to build a life that honored the pain, the love, the sacrifice, a life worth living. So every time I feel weak, I remember them. Every time I doubt myself, I remember what was lost and what I've been given. And I use it as fuel to live harder, to show up more fully, to raise my son and my daughter with strength and presence. That's gratitude. Not just for what you have, but for the pain that carved out the space for it to arrive, for the people who never left, for the second chances that you never thought you would get. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means letting it matter, letting it shape you, letting it drive you to rise. Mark never got the chance to become a husband or a father. So I honour him by being both and being the best father and husband I can be fully. No half measures, no excuses. And as for my wife, my angel, I honour her by becoming the man that she saw in me long before I ever saw it in myself. That's the standard now. Live in the way that honours the ones who never gave up on you. That's sacred gratitude. And that changes everything. Right? And listen, brothers, this isn't about feeling better today. It's about building a life, a legacy, a story your family, your friends, your community will remember. Every act of gratitude plants a seed. You may not see every tree that grows, but your sons, your daughters, your brothers, they will. Your legacy isn't measured by your bank account or the trophies on your shelf, but by the energy that you bring into every single fucking room. The love that you leave behind, the strength that you show, especially through those hard times. Right? A grateful man is a very, very dangerous man because he can't be broken by setbacks. He can't be seduced by empty wins. He stands strong, gives more, and inspires everyone around him to rise. So this is my challenge to you, brother. Become the man who's grateful in the fucking chaos and the madness, who builds the connection when it's hard, who turns adversity into fuel for the next generation. This is how legends are made. This is the awakened savage code. Okay? So this week, pick one area of your life, body, mind, relationships, wealth, right? And practice direct, unapologetic gratitude. Thank the man you used to be for getting you here. Start each morning by naming 3 wins, each night by writing down what you learned. Look at someone you care about in the eye and tell them what you appreciate about them and what you love about them. And when you hit a setback, pause. Ask, what's the lesson here and how can I turn this into fuel? Make gratitude a discipline, not just a mood. Okay? And if you got any value from this, just drop a comment. Which area are you going to bring gratitude to this week? Right? So if you found it valuable, hit the like, subscribe if you want to join me on this journey and be part of this brotherhood. Hit the notification bell. Okay? Share this with a brother who needs a new standard. Right? Don't just talk gratitude, live it. This is how we build men and men build legacies. And as always, I love you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly appreciate you for being with me on this journey. I love showing up here and I love connecting with every single one of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I promise you. I mean it. I love you guys. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one. Put that video here and you can subscribe here. Take care.